The woods stood silent, a wall of trees against the dying light. Whispering woods. No one dared enter after sunset. The bravest men wouldn't, not after dark. The old stories warned of it, whispers that stole your courage, eyes that watched from the darkness. This wasn't a place for the living. The trees pressed close, their branches tangled overhead. No sunlight reached the forest floor, choked by vines and years of dead leaves. The air hung heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. It was a place forgotten by time, swallowed by shadows. The whispers started as the last light faded. Soft at first, like the rustling of leaves. But the wind didn't move the leaves. It was something else, something watching. They spoke of forgotten things, lost dreams, deepest fears. They lured you deeper into the darkness, promising answers you didn't understand.
Then came the eyes, twin points of cold fire, appearing and disappearing among the trees. They moved too quickly to be owls, too silently to be any animal you knew. The villagers spoke of vengeful spirits, lost souls trapped within the woods. Whatever they were, they haunted the night, always watching, always waiting.
Thomas had heard the stories. He'd scoffed at them, called them old wives' tales. He was young, he was foolish, and he was about to learn a terrible lesson. He entered the woods at dusk, his bow slung over his shoulder. He was a skilled hunter, unafraid of the shadows lengthening around him. He was looking for a prize, a stag he'd tracked for days. A stag that led him deeper and deeper into the woods.
The air grew colder as darkness fell. The whispers started, tugging at the edges of his mind. He pushed them away, focused on the tracks leading deeper into the woods. He was too far in to turn back now. He had to see this through.
They ringed the clearing, dozens of them, glowing like embers in the darkness. And that's when he saw them. The eyes, the stag's tracks, led him to a clearing. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale light through the trees. He froze, his breath catching in his throat. The whispers grew louder, swirling around him like a cold wind. S1, media. Man surrounded by whispers in eerie forest.
He was surrounded by something ancient and evil. He'd been a fool to doubt them. This was no ordinary forest. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through his bravado. The stories were true.
He raised his bow, an instinctive reaction, but he knew it was useless. These creatures, whatever they were beyond any weapon he carried. One pair of eyes moved closer. He saw a shape emerge from the darkness, tall and thin, with long, sharp claws. Its eyes burned with an unnatural light, reflecting no warmth, no mercy. It took a step closer, and he saw its face. Or what should have been its face. It was a hollow skull, the bone white against the darkness. It opened its jaw in a silent snarl, and he saw rows of sharp teeth gleaming in the moonlight. Terror, raw and consuming, flooded him. He understood then, these weren't just creatures, they were something more, something monstrous. They were the embodiment of the forest's darkness, its hunger given form. His finger trembled on the bowstring. He knew it was futile, but he had to do something. He had to fight back. S1 media, terrified gasp in sinister forest, frightened reaction in eerie woods, startled man in dark forest. He knew they were toying with him, savoring his fear. Then, just as suddenly, they vanished. The clearing was empty. The only sound, the beating of his own heart. He didn't waste a second. He turned and ran, crashing through the undergrowth, desperate to escape the whispering darkness. He didn't stop running until he stumbled out of the woods, the trees thinning, the first light of dawn touching the sky. He collapsed on the edge of the forest, gasping for breath, his body trembling. He never went back. The memory of that night, the terror of the whispering woods remained. He never doubted the stories again. He carried the fear with him, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the edge of the light. S1, media, man with fear in dark forest, terrified man in eerie woods. Narrator, As he drew back the bowstring, a low growl echoed through the clearing. The creatures shifted, their eyes burning brighter, their forms flickering in and out of view.